Then it takes us to 2012 where the toads, that's the toad there, and the frogs were already active this time of year. I've certainly heard peepers at this time of year in various places.
At times.
Yeah, in Cape Cod, I remember being just thunderous noises from the peepers. But that was an early year, 2012. In 2013, for some reason, Stephen wasn't taking pictures outside. I think it's because we had a 13-month-old
Granddaughter.
a dancer. He did, however, indicate that there was no snow because on today's date in 2013, the cowbird was on the platform feeder, which would have been loaded with snow if it didn't snow that day. Yeah.
The granddaughter is more important.
2014 was the second time that we pruned Corey's spruce tree. Now, when Corey, our son, moved into this house, the spruce tree was in front. And I told him, I said, you know, he likes to put lights on it. And I said, it's going to keep growing and it's going to get really big and get up into the wires and you're not going to be able to put lights on it. Can I keep it small for you? I can probably keep it small for about 10 years.
And that's what it's been.
And it's been 10 years. So we're going to talk about pruning now, because you probably have learned recently from us or from somebody else that you can prune X, Rosa Sharon that we just talked about, Curia that we talked about last week. Go for it, prune it. This time of year is a great time to prune. It's not going to hurt the plant. There's the second year that I pruned it there that we just showed you. This is currently, right now, well, almost right now. I just cut, do you see the competing leaders? So I have to cut the top off. If you look at the size of that trunk, I am now cutting off at the top. When I cut off the growth on the top, like I was doing on the left-hand picture, I'm sawing through a 3-inch stem. And I left a little piece in that last time that I cut it last year. I left a little piece to become the new leader. But some of the side pieces just below its level have turned up and are competing with it. So I just took those out. I just reached up with a pole pruner and clipped them way back because we need one top on a spruce. So when I cut it in 2023, it looked like on the left.
Got the tickets.
You can't even see the little bit that I left sticking up at the top, but now you can see it. And if you look at the difference between those two, you can see openness. And that's because I went on the inside. Here and now in the 6th time I've cut it back. I went inside and took branches out of the inside that were getting cluttered and a lot of dead was building up. Now we'll see this year a lot of blue come out, and that might be the last time that we prune it because we're
it's getting near the end of it.
And it's not fun for me anymore to prune it. It's a spruce. Spruces are picky and hard to get up to.
It's gotten a lot broader.
Well, yeah, I rounded it too much. When I left that little bit of a tip sticking up right there. I should have taken more shoulder out.
Off that.
But we missed a pruning year because the young men who live in the house and nearby decided to climb it and broke branches out. I can see the place here.
Yeah.
They broke branches there and one on the bottom. And so I didn't prune it one year. I said, it's got to recover from that. And that made it more open. We'll see this year just how well it fills in. But pruning is something that you can do more than you think you can. Julie asked about this redbud. She said, I love this redbud. It's one of the ones that has leaves that come out orange and then turn gold. And it's called daybreak or sunrise, something like that. And she said, I got damage on that branch right there coming toward us. She said, what can I do about it? And the bark is cracked on it. I said, you know, you don't need that branch. It's a nice tree up above. That whole branch can come out. And so can the two off to the right. There's no reason that you can't elevate it. It's a tree. It can be up above other things. And that branch is telling you that it has trouble anyway. It's got included bark in the crotch. So take that branch off and take off the lower ones. Go ahead and elevate the tree. Same thing with the ornamental cherry in the front yard. She said, what do I do with this now? I said, well, when we first got it, it was a sickly thing. And we babied it for a while, but there's no reason to baby it now. It's growing well. We can take off the branches. Well, we're going to look at it from the back side. I didn't mean to take this picture, but there's the back side. Those branches there are hanging over the false cypress next to it. And I can see that you've clipped one of them off already. do we need those lower branches? So no, I said, you can take all those lower branches off, elevate that plant, let the hinoki have a little bit more room. You're not losing anything by taking off lower branches. If you look at those branches when they leaf out, you're gonna find that they have less leaf buds on them anyway, because they're trying to get out of their own shade.
Shade, yeah.
And you can prune them now, even though it blooms in the spring. And people say, don't prune it before it blooms because you'll lose the bloom. Those are the flower buds. And they're on the older wood, the branches that grew before about July last year. As you get toward the end of the branches and you've got just single buds clasping the stem,
Buds.
those aren't going to flower anyway. Go ahead and cut those off. And the hinoki, I said, you know, it's time again, Julie. Every couple of years, you need to take that top down and reduce it on sides all the way around. She said, yeah, I know. I said, do it. You can do it now. You can do it in August, but
Don't wait
don't wait too
another
long.
year.
And it helps to have pictures. Go back and look at what it used to look like. So 10 years ago, it has much more character.
Open.
Not just cut, not just shear it, but open it up. Take some branches out inside so that you can reclaim that coral reef Japanese garden cypress look that it used to have. Dwarf ginkgo. You want it to stay by your pond because it got this nice little space for it. Dwarf ginkgo is dwarfer than 100-foot ginkgo. But
But that doesn't mean it can't get to 50.
yeah, this guy wants to be probably 12, 15, 20 feet across. And you put it there, you want it there, then look at it and say, what can I do to keep it small? Looking at this one, that trunk right there is not necessary. It's just competing with other trunks. It's going right through the middle and up through everybody else.
Just take it.
Just take that trunk right out of there. And then you can shorten other stems to a side bud that's pointed out. So any of those buds that
There.
point out, you can clip those off.
Yep.
And if you look at how much it grew in a year, you're going to say, I'm going to cut off 6 inches of these branches.
At least.
Yep. And this goes for evergreen subshrubs like lavender, thyme. This is mazus, just beyond the grape hyacinth. The brown hanging over the wall there is mazus repens, kind of a juga, but evergreen, like thyme. Can you see where the green is back off of the wall? There's no reason that you can't just cut all of that off, see your rocks again. And because it's not going to grow from the dead spots, it's going to grow from where you see the green. Lilacs, the typical pruning on a lilac is to keep taking trunks out so that no trunk is ever bigger than you see on the right-hand side. As big as a pool cue, okay. Bigger than a pool cue, borers are going to start supported. So this lilac we've been working on for a while. It started out looking like you see on the left. The only growth was way at the top, very few flowers. The only new growth it was able to support was gangly stuff way at the bottom because those trunks were bigger, had borer in them. So I've taken one trunk out there. You can see the mess that it was to begin with no new growth coming at the bottom. And what new growth there was, just gangly and no flowers. So now we're taking out some of the last original trunks, that one right there, that bends around on the inside, which is also going to take a piece that's hard to tell, but it's comes out to the left too. But once you take that one out, look at all the new growth that's coming from the bottom, from below the cuts. Every one of those can grow until it blooms, and then you take it out when it's pool cue size. So it's just a regular rotation of taking out some branches. And you can take it out before it blooms.
Yeah.
You can wait until after it blooms if you want, but you can take it out before it blooms. You're not losing much of anything. Oakleaf hydrangeas. These are after 10 years of working on these. They used to be up blocking the second-story windows and were wide and hanging out over the lawn. We cut some branches out, cut some main trunks out, and started getting suckers the first year on the inside. And now we just take out suckers every year, and we've got them back against, rather than they're against the wall now and taking up their room. They started out with fewer flowers with new branches, and now there's a lot of flowers on them. Ninebark, people have asked about how to prune ninebark. This is as small as I can keep ninebark. And I do it by taking out branches, big branches. This time of year, I go into the inside of that thicket and cut out the biggest
Biggest.
branches that have the bark beginning to peel on them and take them right out at ground level. Then after it blooms, I take out more another maybe third of the branches out now and a third out after it blooms, and whatever is left after it blooms, I shorten what's left.
Yep.
It's the only way I can keep ninebark small. Okay, what questions are there? And usually with pruning, there's questions.
Just sort of further with things like,
Oh,
can
we
I
don't
prune
have
a
much time
hydrangea?
now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was saying we're at, but actually, I only have I have 3 here. I actually have a follow-up from the current discussion. Barbara wants to know, does that include red currants?
I think it's all in the currents, yes.
Okay.
All of the
And yep, and Mary Lou says, can I prune or cut globe arborvitaes that got too big? She has 4. She wants to cut them in half and prune to shape them smaller, or should I just pull them out?
You can, and depending on how far back you want to cut them, they may be bare for a little while. Those are definitely shown in an article on the website, which shows you how far back you can cut and has pictures of how they recover.
Okay, and then we can do a speed round, I think sort of a yes, no kind of thing. Susan, can I prune a hydrangea now?
Yes,
Michelle, is it unhealthy to let ninebark go as big as it wants?
no, it's healthy.
No, it's
Let it-
healthier for the plant.
Yep, all right. And Priscilla says, when to prune abeliophyllum?
I haven't grown that in a long time. Some people call that white forsythia.
Yeah.
And I would probably, because it should be starting to bloom right now, and I would probably just wait till after it blooms and then cut branches back, like I do flowering almond. Let it bloom and then you can cut it to the ground if you want to.
Suzanne, should I remove the sucker branches from my 30-year-old dogwood?
Yes and no. It depends on where they are. If they're suckers from the trunk or from the roots, yes, you can take them off, but ask yourself why they're there, because there's something going on with the tree on the bump.
Yep. And P.S. Mason says, can you repeat the name of the dogwood that was on, he thinks, Corey's property?
I think it's called Summer Fun,
Okay.
but there's also Venus is wonderful.
There's a few of
There's a
them
few of them, yeah.
that are the
Milky
dog
Way
crosses.
is really nice.